Hello, so I wanted to go over a quick primer on utilizing etc Net2 configuration editor. This was historically a first big step for ETC's history in terms of networking equipment. So the original release of Net2 utilized old way of handing out IP addresses known as a bootp server. So if you first download etc Net2 configuration editor, you will get a program called etc Net2 NIC Picker, and that allows you to select a network interface for the configuration editor to use and communicate with. So I'm going to want to select the 10.101 IP scheme that I have created on my Windows machine. I would click Save. And the important part on this is whatever this save as is by default, you want to save that because that's the reference file. And that is what is going to tell the configuration editor what to use when it opens. So if we're not seeing nodes initially, it may be that it isn't using the correct network interface, and you would need to shut down the configuration editor, open NIC Picker, and select and save that network interface. If you're running Net2 configuration editor on a console, NIC Picker isn't terribly accessible, and you would have to reinstall Net2 configuration editor to get the NIC Picker window to reopen. So once I know that Net2 configuration editor is using the correct network interface, I will want to go and make sure that it connects to that network interface. So you go to network and choose connect. And in the bottom right corner, I'll have a network online. I have a Net2 node, and it also shows a node online one. If these nodes are not actually receiving a IP address, then I may need to check network address server so that it is able to hand out an IP. So Net2 configuration editor is the bootp server. And what happens is if a node is maybe defaulted or something like that, is looking to be handed an IP address from a bootp server. And so you would need Net2 configuration editor to hand that out. So if maybe they booted without that, I may need to reboot the nodes in order to connect those. So I'm going to go into network and get my unbound nodes. And that's going to look at my network, and it sees my 2-port DMX node with ports 1 and 2, and it will give me the DMX start and the eDMX start. There's some other information here in terms of kind of ranges, which I don't necessarily use. In eDMX world, we don't use a universe designation, so this would be universe 1, and this would be universe 3. If I wanted this to be universe 2, I'd change this to 513. I can also change the ports between output and input. The other thing that I might do for clarity is to change the name. So I can also send a name that displays on the node. So I might say First Electric, for example. Now that my nodes are the way I want them, this is an input for universe 2. I don't know why I'd want that in the First Electric, but there we go. And then the first port is an output on universe 1. I might now click network, and I would send the config to nodes. Once it completes that send, you can look and verify that your gateway or node updated with those changes on its screen.